And what I'm going to be talking about today is a project which I led about using PebblePlus to manage the dissertation process within Newcastle Business School. You can see from the award there, last year the business school won the 2015 Times Higher Education Awards for business schools, and it's classed within the top 1% of business schools within the world. We do have a worldwide audience, and this module that I'm talking about, the undergraduate dissertation, is run across our Newcastle campus, our London campus, and our Kaplan campus in Singapore. So we're talking quite a big module, and basically, slightly historically, when this came to pass, I think our PebblePad usage within the business school was 1. A person who was doing an MBA who came to me and said, I need somewhere to record a personal blog, have you got everything? And that was the business school usage within of PebblePad within the faculties. Health and life sciences, very healthy, but business school was out on a limb there. So what happened, and I'll just get rid of that because I'm just going to tell the story. The business school came to me with a problem as a learning technologist. Not about e-portfolios, not about that. The problem they had was 850 students on one dissertation module, over 100 tutors supervising them, doing a wide variety of subjects, and they wanted a technology solution to match those students with those tutors. And when I actually thought about it, that is an absolutely huge problem. The way they did it is they got everybody to print out their dissertation proposals, get all the tutors to say what their skill areas are on piles of paper. Wow. In corners. They couldn't think of any way to do it, and they come, not at the last minute, but with a few months to spare, you know, like in May, said, for September, can you build us an electronic system where we can put all the student data in, take the student data out? And I thought, nope, I can't build that system. And then I went away and thought about it, and thought about what the various systems we had could do. And I'm a great advocate of Pebble. And I started thinking, well, Pebble, is that not a database where the students type all their information into a database? Yes, it is. What information can I get from that? So I went away and did my homework and started looking at the reporting. And I realized that what they wanted, which was actually a spreadsheet with all the information on it, if I design the workbook properly and get all the data from that workbook to come across to this spreadsheet, so they could then start allocating the tutors. So there we have. So I went back with, I think the solution for your problem is PebblePlus. No, we've heard about Pebble before, we've never done it. And I had to go through several meetings to convince people that it was the solution, and I had to get up and demonstrate over an hour a workbook and the reporting. What are hard questions I got asked is, well, can you do a report on the people who haven't submitted their dissertation proposals? I thought, yeah, that one is probably, they're the people that they want to chase up. And I went back and thought, oh yeah, it does do a report on the people who haven't submitted. So that's why later I made it a non-submission thing. And I also went in with, I know you want that, but do you want ethics submissions as well, and do you want management support on it? So eventually we went from this one process to complete process, and it started off September last year. I went away, I designed 3 workbooks, and I'm going to show you the dissertation proposal workbook. And one of the things with these workbooks is to make sure the information on the first page of the workbook was what I wanted on that spreadsheet, was all the management information so they could match people. I did an ethics submission workbook, and I think every university in the world, I imagine, wants an ethics submission process. And I found out later that our university had paid a consultant a year to go around to design an ethics process, and I said, well, I did one last week on Pebble, and it's, well, does it do this? Yes, it does do that, and it seemed to do everything that they wanted, and it's like, well, we've just introduced one in Newcastle Business School, and it was a bit of treading on people's toes. And the final thing, which certainly the senior managers liked, is that most of the dissertation was run by emails between the tutors and the students, and tutors signing up on a board, and they didn't have this big overview of what was happening, who was being supervised. Our students did have paper-based supervision logbooks, but they were always in the students' hands, so we can see them. So a third workbook went in there, the supervision log, which was optional. And then I looked at various different ways, single workspace, Atlas workspace, linked to LTI, and 3 assignments, 1 for each workbook. So they knew which one to go. So that was a solution I came up with, tried to make it as simple as possible. And the first thing, which was absolutely beautiful, those 3 letters there. Wow. I'd set up other workspaces before the LTI link, and within those workspaces, first of all, you had to make sure that student had an account, which meant they had to log into PebblePad. 800 and plus students, even 100 academics, getting them to log into Pebble. Please log into your Pebble account so I can add you. Just put it on there, click that, creates the workspaces, imports my students, keeps them up to date, imports my tutors, keeps them up to date. Fantastic, it's solved having to employ somebody to do the admin. As simple as that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you to the dissertation proposal workbook, if I can find it there. And it's in this account that I set up there. And as you'll see in here, I've also got the 2017 workbooks. So you'll have to tell us that is custom resources, isn't it? Oh, this mouse is horrible! Help! So it's typical, it's the one on the Seymour. 215, dissertation proposal. And basically, my thinking behind this was that a dissertation proposal is the same as any other piece of work that gets formatively assessed and summatively assessed. It gets formatively assessed, the student gets feedback on it, they update it, and eventually come to this point where the academic in charge says, yes, go ahead with it. So I tried to keep it as simple as possible. So it starts off with some instructions, and the one thing I didn't do is set this to auto-submit. I wanted them to submit it at the end on the basis that by the time they submit it, I know that person's done their dissertation proposal, so I could do the non-submission figures. So that's why I did that. So we start off with some instructions there. It did have a nice picture of Northumbria University, but we've got Pebbles now. Still a nice picture there. And basically, very, very simple. Student ID, a drop-down list for the programme of studies. So you can see all the different business studies there. The campus of study, whether they were Newcastle or Kaplan. And then the proposed research aim or question. And these are all the things we were looking at to match with the tutors. The key methods, methodology, so where they're going with those. And the organisational base, if they were being based in an organisation, because the whole part of the business school is they go out into business and work with an organisational base. And then came the more difficult part. I would have liked it if somebody had gone to marketing, selected marketing from a drop-down list, and that would open another list relating to marketing, refining it further. The same with, say, HR, refining it further. Couldn't do that with PebblePad, but what I did do is then the business school came up with one of many checkboxes. So anybody who was doing business intelligence or whatever, click that. And they did the same audit with the staff. So when it came to matching up, it took the academic in charge of this less than a day, and I think she even had a coffee break to match everybody up and put them into sets. And then you had this fantastic thing where instead of saying, right, I've matched everything, well, what used to happen, I think, is the academics come along, they'd read some of them. I want that one. You know, they'd be moving them in piles. And then all the communication, all the emails, after that, totally gone. So I did that. After this, the back pages, very, very simple. You know, in using no more than 500 words, describe your specific area of study. And again, beyond that, relevant literature, a timescale planner for the major activities with the date pickers, nothing complex at all, and let them upload their references on Word. And basically, that's what we had. So I built these 3 workbooks. The ethics one reflects a very, very similar part of this process. It does have a risk assessment where the students risk assess it and academics do that, but 2 stages of assessment all fits very nicely into PebblePlus. And the final workbook, the monitoring one, is a student-based, I'll get the workbook up, just get it up there. Custom resources. This one's auto-submit. Why did I press cancel? This one's also submit. But again, it's got the student name, supervisor name, and then what they can do is record each meeting, so the time and date of the meeting, the type of meeting. So we've gone for face-to-face, email exchange, telephone, Skype. So it's encouraging people to recognise that if they have an email exchange with their tutor, that is part of their thing. The student then can set the agenda for the meeting. So if this works properly, the academic can see the agenda before they start, and they can upload any documents they want. Have they attended? The student summarises the discussions, the supervisor can make comment, or the tutor can make comment, and then agreed tasks for the next meeting and the next meeting scheduled. So there's a series of meetings there, and once they run out of the 6 meetings there, if they do any more, they just go to the standard Pebble template. That's all these books are for. The next problem came with Patrick is not fully employed doing PebblePad. It's just one of my areas. How am I going to support 800 students and 100 academics going through this process? I don't do student-facing training anymore, so the next thing was to build a strategy for me to support the students. And I did that throughout Blackboard, and I'm going to show you the Blackboard page that I developed for that. So should be there on here, Blackboard, and it's the one with loads of tutors on it. And whereas they've got loads of pages there, I think somebody mentioned the other day, you have the PebblePlus page and the Atlas for Tutors. That little sign means that it's hidden from everybody. So the PebblePlus page, and what I've did is develop some specific resources for them so they can know exactly what they're doing. So first one, I know you can't read that, submitting your dissertation proposal using PebblePlus, a PDF document stage by stage, ethics submission using PebblePlus, using your NBS dissertation logbook, and then this last one, which I had to put in the last stage, and this ruined some of the process. Somebody up high at the last minute said, we want all the dissertation proposals printed out as well. And so we've got printing your dissertation proposal. And when I get to the end, one of the feedback from the students is, why do we have to do it on PebblePlus one and then print it out? So we do there a little bit of a summary for it. You link to PebblePlus and Atlas. I also put in some generic documents which I'd also developed, one of which I found quite good, the PebblePlus familiarization exercises. And basically all that did was introduce somebody to PebblePlus. First thing you do if you want to learn PebblePlus is do that. It will talk you through logging in from home, logging in from your other computer, and then how to copy and paste in PebblePlus, and how to find the PebblePlus help guides. So it would set a task like, I want you to copy and paste some text from a Word document. In order to do this, you'll have to visit the PebblePlus help guide, PebblePlus help how to copy and paste. Simple as that. So it's taking them through those exercises to stop those common questions. So below that, I've got other ones which I did, an Atlas overview, a Pebble overview. I imagine most of them didn't look at that then. And then the step-by-step videos. So me doing the dissertation proposal on a video, the ethics submission on the video. I did some promotional videos for Pebble as well, which I stuck on there. And I showed them to one of the groups the other day. And then frequently asked questions. Things like, how do I copy and paste in PebblePlus? I don't think anybody got back to the bottom of that in Pebble Help. So what I've got is that page, which is put on there. But if you look at one of my PGCE modules on there, you'll find the bottom bit's all the same with how to use PebblePlus on your PGCE. I reuse everything. So that's how I supported the students. I've still got over 100 academics who range from the, oh, Pebble, that sounds interesting, to the, I used it once and I'm never going to do it again. Had them. So by this time, I'd won over senior management. Senior management were really on my side, and they gave me an hour's time with every tutor to do training. Not all of them turned up, but they were told, you will attend training in this, and you'll do it. So not only did I run training sessions, did exactly the same for them. So if I come along here on this Atlas for tutors, it's hidden from students, but you've got your tutor's guide to the dissertation process, your tutor's guide to the ethics submissions, tutor's guide to the dissertation logbook, and your tutor's guide to leaving feedback. Did they read them? No. Of course they didn't. And also, to go with them, the ethics submission and the dissertation logbook supervisors' guides, and a couple of Atlas helps there. So I'm really trying to help them. Not only that, most of them turned up to the hour session. And from that, I got more business. Various other people, I want to use that on my program. I want to use that on my program, because I reached a huge bulk of the academics there. So that's the setup that we did. And if I go back to my PowerPoint, which is around there somewhere. When I looked at it, the key outcomes: substantially reduced administration with the LTI link, no doubt about it. When I spoke to the academic afterwards who was running it, we actually got funding for a complete academic paper to do a complete academic review on it, and we couldn't get anybody to turn up to the focus groups. Couldn't get a focus group, so we ended up with questionnaires. But certainly the reduced administration from the paper-based system going into this was absolutely brilliant. And you always think about numbers, you know, I've got 20 on a course, what do you do when you have 800? And it was that big. And the supervisors were allocated a week earlier than previously, so it was that noticeable. We now had a robust and auditable process. We could see where people were going, we could see what everybody was doing, we could go in and get the reports, we could go into individual students, the person managing the process could go into an independent students and see them. And I know one of the fears the senior managers had is there's always somebody who comes in with mum and dad having failed their degree, not finished their dissertation, saying the reason my son or my daughter did not pass is they didn't receive the support from your university. We've paid you all this money and they haven't had the support. So therefore, we can look directly, without having to go to the academic, without having to go to anybody, directly to see what that student's done. You can see their dissertation proposal. And the other thing with that was, when we were going and getting the management information halfway through, we were able to send through PebblePad specific emails to those who hadn't submitted. And so using the messaging system to do that. So it was even these things I hadn't even thought of were coming up. So we had this auditable process. The management information, there was a time when they were asked for management information, and most of it the academic took off herself, and I helped her with the rest of it. Had all these spreadsheets with what people had done, how many people had submitted, how many people had done everything. Fantastic. Improved student academic experience. We did do a review on it, and many students come back saying it's great, but they've got nothing to compare it to. So it would have been better if we'd have done it on paper. The main feedback from that was why did we have to do it on paper and hand it in as well as the academics? I've got a very good academic quote from here, but when we reviewed it with the academics, there is a lot of resistance to change, and some of them absolutely hated it, some of them really liked it, but I'm going to keep the quote for the end. But overall, the person who really, really benefited was Kate, who was the lead tutor on it. Her time, her module. So we went from there. Critical areas for our success, I think, initially was the senior management support. We'd never got off the ground without them. Keeping the workbooks and processes as simple as possible. It is still amazing how many people submitted an ethics submission workbook to a dissertation proposal workspace and then complained that they couldn't get their dissertation proposal one in there because I'd said it at one. You know, or started submitting other things to the workspaces. It's unbelievable. Academic engagement in the process was critical. Supporting the students, I've shown you how I've tried supporting the students there, and supporting the academics. New challenges for 2016-17. Moved to Pebble 5, completed that in a day, updating the workbooks. Updating the help and guidance, took about a day for the workbooks, a couple of days for the videos. I'm getting quite picky with doing that once I've done it. And then the bombshell, changes in academic staff, particularly the lead academic. Comes in July, she's been promoted. Somebody else comes in and said, PebblePad, don't want to use it. Senior management, you will use it. You will use it. Sends me an email. I've been told to contact you about the dissertation proposal. I'm taking over the lead of it. I'm on holiday for the next 4 weeks. I'll see you on the 23rd of August. You won't see me on the 23rd of August. That's when I start my holidays. So there is a guy I'm meeting when I get back who's in at the deep end because he's supporting his academics. So they're the challenges, and I just want to end, I think I had the zero. With the quote from one academic, and this came halfway through the process. I'm just looking through my undergraduate dissertation research proposals via Atlas. As you know, I'm a complete duffer with technology and have been a little cynical about this innovation. However, I wanted to let you know what a fantastic innovation this is. No longer is my desk cluttered with paper, and no longer do I need to juggle triplicate forms or handwrite comments. No longer do I need to file things and then forget where I've filed them. It's wonderful being able to see students' work on one side of my screen and being able to comment alongside. This innovation massively improves both the efficiency and effectiveness of my feedback, and will in turn, if the full dissertations are uploaded, reduce the time involved in grading while crucially providing the student with richer, more readable feedback. I can always see ways in which the medium will enable us to second mark online. And that was an email that came in the mailbox out of the blue. Must be doing something good. So thank you very much. And